The Azerbaijan Grand Prix was supposed to be the weekend where McLaren stamped its authority over Formula One. Instead, it turned into the backdrop for one of the most dramatic collapses of Oscar Piastri's career. A false start, an anti-stall issue, and two heavy crashes, one during qualifying and another on the opening lap of the race, destroyed his record-breaking run of consistency and handed Max Verstappen a lifeline in the championship battle. A driver celebrated for his calm, surgical precision. This was a meltdown no one saw coming. And inside McLaren, the fallout is raising uncomfortable questions. Is the team truly pulling in the same direction? Or are we starting to see the first cracks of a rivalry that could split the garage in two? Adding fuel to the fire, Piastri's manager and mentor, Mark Webber, has gone public with a bold declaration. Oscar must be the one to win the 2025 World Championship. This isn't just about redeeming himself in Singapore or in the races ahead. It's now a battle of legacies, Piastri versus Norris, with Verstappen circling like a predator. For months, Oscar Piastri had built the image of a driver untouched by pressure, a calm, composed figure who seemed immune to the psychological warfare that defines a title fight. His incredible streak of 34 consecutive points finishes became the ultimate symbol of reliability, establishing him as the man to beat in the 2025 championship. But in Baku, all of that vanished in an instant. What had once been his strength crumbled under the spotlight. In a single weekend, his reputation for composure gave way to chaos, leaving behind shattered carbon fiber, lost points, and a wave of fresh doubts. Suddenly, the conversation shifted. Does Piastri truly have the steel to shoulder McLaren's championship hopes? Or did Azerbaijan expose a weakness that could derail his entire season? Saturday brought the first signs that this would not be a normal weekend for Oscar Piastri. In the closing stages of qualifying, pushing to extract every last fraction of a second, he made a rare but costly mistake. A lockup sent him sliding straight into the barriers at turn 3. The damage wasn't just to the car. The crash left him marooned on the 5th row of the grid, starting 9th. Far from the position a championship leader expects to be. What made this moment so striking was its rarity. In his short but brilliant Formula One career, Piastri had almost never committed an unforced error like this. To many, it felt like an omen, a warning that Baku was about to unravel in ways no one anticipated. Sunday delivered the full nightmare. As the lights went out, Piastri jumped the start, an automatic 5-second penalty already hanging over his head. But the real disaster came a heartbeat later. His McLaren dropped into anti-stall as he tried to recover, and before reaching the first corner, he was tumbling backwards through the field. And then came the final blow. On that very first lap, braking late into turn 5, Piastri locked up, slid helplessly in dirty air, and smashed into the barriers. Just like that, his race was over. His first retirement since his rookie season, and the first true implosion of his Formula One career. Afterwards, Piastri didn't try to hide. He admitted the mistakes openly, calling it a messy weekend and taking full responsibility. I judged it wrong. A stupid mistake. Frustrating, of course, but we're all human, he told the press. His honesty was refreshing, but the cold reality remained. When you're leading a championship, one bad weekend doesn't just sting. It can rewrite the entire fight. The fallout from Baku went far beyond Oscar Piastri's own disappointment. It reshaped the entire championship battle. Max Verstappen, who had been trailing at a distance, suddenly found the door wide open. Back-to-back victories dragged him right back into the conversation, closing the gap to within 69 points. On paper, it still looks like a steep climb, but anyone who's watched Formula One knows better than to count Verstappen out. He's a driver who thrives when rivals stumble, and Baku gave him exactly what he needed. For Lando Norris, the picture was more complicated. The Brit could only manage 7th place, which meant he missed the chance to inflict maximum damage on his teammates' title hopes. Still, the broader narrative was crystal clear. Piastri and Norris are locked in a head-to-head fight for the 2025 crown, with Verstappen waiting in the shadows, ready to punish every single mistake. Inside McLaren, the fallout from Baku is more than just lost points. It's fueling a dangerous rivalry. Every mistake by one driver becomes ammunition for the other. Formula One history has shown us how destructive this can be. Senna versus Prost, Hamilton versus Rosberg. When teammates turn into rivals, a team can become more vulnerable than any competitor across the pit lane. And now, with both Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris chasing the same crown, the tension is undeniable. One slip, one spark, could ignite a full-blown civil war inside McLaren. This is where Mark Webber steps into the spotlight. The former Red Bull driver, now serving as Oscar Piastri's manager and mentor, has never been one to mince words. But his latest remarks were nothing short of explosive. Webber declared, in blunt and unmistakable terms, that Piastri must win the championship this year. Not Lando Norris. Not Max Verstappen. Oscar, such directness is almost unheard of in Formula One, where political polish and careful PR lines usually dominate the conversation. Webber's words landed like a gauntlet thrown down, and the implications are impossible to ignore. For Piastri, that declaration is both a blessing and a burden. On one hand, it's a powerful vote of confidence from someone who knows exactly what it takes to survive the brutality of the paddock. On the other, it piles staggering pressure onto his shoulders. Anything less than the championship will now be seen as failure. Not just for Piastri, but for Webber's judgment as well. For Norris, the sting is even sharper. Imagine being McLaren's longtime prodigy, the driver who carried the team through its darkest rebuilding years, only to hear your teammate publicly crowned as the chosen one. Webber's comments risk driving a wedge straight through McLaren's garage. Stella, for his part, tried to calm the storm, calling Baku a one-off, a rare mistake in an otherwise brilliant season. He reminded everyone that even the greatest champions have weekends where nothing goes right. And he's not wrong. True champions are defined not by perfection, but by how they recover from imperfection. The question now is whether Piastri can do exactly that, or whether Baku was the first sign of a dangerous downward spiral. Looking at the championship table after Baku, the stakes could not be clearer. With just 7 races and 3 sprint weekends remaining, a maximum of 199 points are still up for grabs. Oscar Piastri leads the way with 324 points. Right behind him, Lando Norris sits on 299, and Max Verstappen is back in striking distance with 205. Yes! On paper, George Russell and Charles Leclerc are still mathematically in the fight. But realistically, this is now a 3-horse race. And the gap between Piastri and Norris is razor thin. Just 25 points, the equivalent of a single race win. With Verstappen's relentless pace lurking in the background, the margin for error has effectively vanished. Now all eyes turn to Singapore. Just a year ago, it was Lando Norris who triumphed under the lights, while Oscar Piastri had to settle for third. This time, the Marina Bay circuit represents far more than just another race. It's a crucible. A test of whether Piastri can shake off the ghosts of Baku and reassert his authority in the championship. The question now is simple, yet defining. Can Piastri absorb the weight of expectation, bounce back immediately, and prove Mark Webber right? Or did Baku reveal the very cracks that Lando Norris and Max Verstappen will exploit to shatter his championship dream? So what do you think? Is Piastri ready to silence the doubts? Or are we about to witness one of the most dramatic unravelings in modern Formula One history? Let me know in the comments below.